Hey everyone, and thanks for joining this episode of the Saving Your Future podcast. And today we want to talk about that one thing that can derail your entire financial plan and what you can do to fix it. A couple days ago, I was actually talking to someone that's a close friend of mine, we'll just put it that way. And last year, this individual had a major health scare and ended up in the hospital for a couple weeks and was out of work for quite some time. And essentially we had a conversation about how he was in this situation where it took the 3 months that he was out of work, he was making no money whatsoever. And when he returned to work, fortunately, he lives in a state that provides disability. But it took the 3 months until he actually was going back to work before the state finally paid his disability claim. And so essentially, 3 months he was just tapping into his savings and spending everything that he had just to stay ahead of the game, just to be able to pay his bills, never mind to get ahead. And so that made me think about the fact that many of us say, hey, look, I have a plan, I have a financial plan together, I saved this amount or that amount in my 401k, I'm preparing for retirement, I have everything aligned, everything lining up, and I'm good to go. And then something unexpected, some catastrophe like this comes along and it derails everything. So the other part is that depending on what state you are, you may not even have the ability to collect anything on disability. So that would be even worse. But at a minimum, in the particular case that he was in, the state provided disability after 3 months. So essentially he was back to work a week before he finally got benefits from day one. So 3 months with no money coming in. That kind of brings us back to our emergency fund. I've done a couple of episodes on emergency fund, and definitely go back and look at some of the other episodes that I've done in the past. Take a look at them, gather some of that information on the importance of an emergency fund. Because if you don't have the money, what are you going to do? Well, hopefully there's somebody, family or friends that can lend you money. But if not, how do you survive? How do you pay your bills? What do you do to put yourself in a situation where you can just get through? Is that something that you have planned and available to you? I'll take a pause for a second here and just mention that this podcast is based on my book, Saving Your Future, which I wrote in 2013. And this particular topic itself is not in the book, but wanted to point that out as well. So, hey, I have my plan together. I'm making plenty of money. I'm on track. I know exactly what I'm doing. And then, God forbid, an accident comes along or something bad comes up. Maybe I'm out of work 3 months, maybe 6 months, maybe even longer. If you were in that situation, what would you do? How would you be able to pay your bills? Okay, so you say, well, I do have an emergency fund, so I'm in good shape. Whew, thank goodness. I'll be able to make it 3-6 months. What if it was a year? At what point would you run out of money? And, if you're in a state that actually has a disability plan, provides disability insurance, definitely let me know in the comments. Definitely comment here and let us know about that. And tell me, have you ever had to collect from it? And how efficient was it? Is my friend's experience typical to what you've seen? I'd be interested in hearing about that. But then there's so many other states that don't actually even have a disability plan. And so essentially you're out of work for a while and you're just out of luck. So, worst case scenario, what happens if you're out of work permanently? Sure, maybe you can learn some other skill, or perhaps, you can create a situation where you can do some other type of work that doesn't require, say, an arm or a leg or, being able to walk or whatever it might be that the situation that you're entered into left you. What would you do in that case? Well, the answer to this is everybody needs disability insurance. Consider the option of getting a personal disability insurance policy. Get something that would cover you in the event that you can't work in your line of work. ever again. The other thing to consider is that, maybe you can do something different that you're not doing now, but you wouldn't be able to earn the same amount of money that you're earning now in that new line of work. Then what would you do? What would happen if you're permanently disabled and you could never really go back to what you were doing and you're not really sure what to do? How would you be able to fund your retirement? How would you be able to fund your financial plans? How would you be able to support or take care of your family if you now can't work? What would you do in that situation? Most people haven't really thought about that. Now, I can tell you at companies I've worked for in the past, they provide 1 year salary or something like that you can get as optional coverage, and definitely consider doing that. But do they have any long-term disability that you can potentially purchase to cover you if something catastrophic happened and you're unable to work for a significant period of time? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And again, this podcast is based on my book, Saving Your Future. And in that book, I try to help people create a step-by-step guide to help them develop wealth and prepare for your financial future. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear topics you'd like to hear about. And I'd love to get questions from you and be able to answer those going forward as well. I missed a few weeks there and I hadn't actually put out a podcast episode in a little bit. And that's because I was actually studying up to get into the financial services industry. So I currently just passed my life, disability, and annuity insurance licensing test. So I'm now licensed in the state of Virginia for those particular areas. Hopefully down the line, I'll go for additional licenses as I continue to grow and work in this field. But I'm really excited about it. So as I continue to grow and learn more, I want to share more and more with you. I'd love to hear other things that you're interested in so that I can share what's the most important to the audience. Questions that you might have, topics that you're considering important. And as I said, I encourage you to go back and check out some past episodes because I've been doing this for almost going on a year now, and I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy sharing some information with you. Definitely go ahead and check out the book as well. You can find it on Amazon and definitely a number of other places. And I will link in the show notes where you can actually pick up a copy of this book. Thanks so much for checking out this episode. Definitely look at some of the other ones and subscribe so that you'll be among the first to know when a new episode comes out. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next episode.